Afternoon, everyone. Great to be back, and thank you for.
Yeah, the mighty.
Is that the New Olympians? Is that New Olympians here?
The mighty Ollie.
Yeah, thanks for. I know I haven't been for a long time, but just to, I don't know if it's been mentioned, but we're still working with the university, Northumbria University, to try and capture some of the evaluation of the project really, and how it's impacted on you and how you've benefited from it. So today is, and I know you've done sort of sessions around reflecting on like the group so far and how it's, but I think this is to capture some evaluation sort of content so we could then start that off with the university. Yeah. Does that all make sense? Yeah, great. But in keeping with the fact that this is a very vibrant, creative, brilliant group, all-round group. You know me too well. Just do a little activity around the word celebration, because I think we're in the sort of run up to the festive period. Adam's already got his early Christmas hat. So the festive season is about celebration, but I think we should have the theme of celebrating the group. So what I'd like you to do, and Antonia's was the first little activity just to get you all sort of working together and thinking about, positive things about the group, is to either sort of create, draw, write a little statement, just something that depicts celebration to you. Does that make sense? So we've got some art stuff there, and there's A4 paper. If you wanted to use a larger piece and work together with someone, that's absolutely fine. It's up to yourselves.
We have a box of celebrations.
Well, there's like a medium-sized piece of paper, which is all different sizes.
Is that A3 or is that between A3?
That's A3. So you've got A4, A3.
The pill was it.
Oh, that's A2.
So
A2, isn't it? Yeah.
you're very welcome to work on your own, or just think of something that's around celebration, and then we'll share why you've chosen that particular image, just as a little sort of icebreaker type activity. Okay, is that okay? Good. So about 10-15 minutes on that, do you think?
Yeah.
And then share back. So Antonia just brought some ideas, but you're looking at sort of champagne, corks, glasses, flutes, drinks, but anything at all that you could think of celebration. Yeah.
Comes out the drink,
That was a lot of alcohol. That was all alcohol. Champagne, glasses.
Yeah. Work in a pair, there's a lot of sheets if you want.
What kind of paper do you want?
You'll punch
Now,
what do you call it, pussy?
yeah, person.
That is a celebration.
That which is the plan. Okay, so would anyone like to sort of feedback on their image or idea or?
Do you want to go first, Joe? Go on.
Honestly, I couldn't think of a thing for our celebration because we are really looking as a whole, right? So I think it's interactive, what's informative, knowledge swapping, and meeting people.
So that was about the group, wasn't it?
Yeah. And the way I've got on there is I've got a drone with a boat with a hump on his back and a boat with no hump on his back.
So
And that means, for me, it means like, you're full of your own woes and troubles, and then you find that because of one group, you lose it. You meet people, you lose the hump on your back. You realise you're not special, and there's other people like you.
Yeah. So in a sense, that's something to celebrate, isn't it? And that's what we've just been saying then.
You've set it off really well there, Jim, because I think you've started even going to the next part of explaining about, but that's brilliant. So
Well, I assure me that they didn't.
Thanks, Jim. That's a great start. Thank you.
Should we do you want to do yours?
You
I'll do
yeah.
mine very quickly. So mine was very incredibly simplistic. Things I associate with celebrating are colour, music and song, people
Vino
dancing.
Collapso.
This is, and obviously Vino Collapso really in the middle. No, but that sort of sparkle and buzz and just happiness and
Effervescence.
yes,
Yeah.
that's a
Ooh, good
lovely
word.
word.
Good
Yes,
word.
so and that could be lots of different things. But actually, apart from obviously the alcohol, I feel like that when I come here. I think that's, and all the smiles. I think there's a lot. I put little smiles on there as well because it's sort of
Yeah.
so much joy. Yeah. So there we go. Right.
Mine went to the grandsons and granddaughters nativity play yesterday.
Oh, nice one.
Yeah, and that was them coming in and going up to church type thing, and all holding hands when they're going down type thing.
What was he?
Oh, that's just there, this match type thing, you know. And the music, and they were all sort of taking a mick on me. All the kids were taking a mick on my eye patch type. They were happy as well.
You were pirate.
You know what they're like, you know.
Captain Sparrow.
And I waited outside when the daughter went across the school for the kid to pick the kids up. They were so pleased when the kids came out for the sayers, especially the grandson, because he jumped up and down and he gave a great big cuddle type thing. So that was really nice, yeah. And she's singing and hymning and hymns and all that sort of thing. Very good, yeah. And some of the songs, they were sort of choir style. Some of the young singing were really, really good.
Ours is a representation of, proud to be, of Sunderland Minster, which is the church that I attend, and also Adam many years ago used to be a cook there. But there still is a restaurant, and originally it was run for older people, and you worked there when you were in your late teens, early 20s. So we're going back a fair bit to that. But this is the church that I currently attend, and I suppose all the major celebrations in my life are centred around the church, so all hatches, matches and dispatches. And it's showing 12 o'clock, and I've got a bell here because the ringers do go down and bring the new year in.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Would you like to share?
Maybe I would, well, party with family, people I love.
Party with family and friends and people you love. Yeah.
Missed the singing bit up dancing's definitely one.
Okay.
Doing just a high five. Well, we always steal the cricket still.
Okay. We'll move on to Suzanne.
Yeah. Okay, so I've done a little celebration poster. Lots of colours because I love colour. So I've got balloons, and cake and fireworks and sort of smiling faces, people laughing.
What's your number say?
And then I put round friends, dance, prosecco, cake, laugh, family, chat, stories, spooky, bars.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, all things you would have in a celebration.
That sounds awesome.
So many things, everything that Suzanne's got really, and what Mark's got. Some of what Adam's got, and Keith, and just, so for me, life's just one big celebration, I guess.
There's
I just enjoy life. So
Yeah.
I've got an amazing life.
Oh.
Yeah. I had a great night last night, talking about celebration. Went to Durham Cathedral, and my wife's in a rock choir.
Oh.
And there was 150 people in this choir, and they filled Durham Cathedral to the rafters. And the singing was just, it brought a tear to your eye, to be honest. They were doing Christmas songs and rock songs. And the strange thing is, some of the committee from the Durham Cathedral weren't happy with some of the content of the songs, because they weren't like religious-y style songs, some of them were rock songs. But the whole audience got up and clapped.
Yeah.
And that was, talk about a celebration, that was a celebration of a magnificent building
Yeah.
where people were there was religious songs and non-religious songs, but everybody was celebrating that fabulous building
Yeah.
and the sound that you can
So
create.
sure the acoustics must have been
Oh God, honestly, it does. It brings tears to the eyes.
Yeah.
Antonia, I just realised have you got something that depicts celebration?
I think mine's very similar to Kath's. Lots of music and dancing's my big celebration. I didn't say that. Just because I'm a student doesn't mean I drink a lot. But I do, and that's when I dance. And friends, and just being around positive people.
Yeah. Again, just
You're
think-
positive when you want to be.
think of those words that we've been sharing, because we can come back to that, I think, for the main part.
What about
Okay,
you, Alex?
yes, well, I thought I'd just do something very quick about today. What I've observed today from not being involved in the project, but not necessarily being involved in the sessions for quite a while. So I've come up with me HLF rings. So it's a bit like the Olympic rings, because
Are you going to sing that for Wicked?
And the DJ or the jumper there.
I missed one out because there's 4 today. But generally the Olympics, certainly when they're here, well, anytime there's a celebration, I think sport is for me. But I think it has everything, doesn't it? It has music, culture, all sorts of things. But the reason I've done the HLF rings, and I've put 4 on, but it could be adapted, is that you've got, I think, 4 different different people within this group. So you've got people from the organisations that are involved. So that's Terry, Kath, Pippa and myself. Then you've got yourselves, who are the sort of members, participants. Then you've got the volunteers. And then you've got the students or the university that are involved. But I've put them all together because in the middle, basically, if someone walked in today, they wouldn't know who was from who. And I think it's such an inclusive group that part I've put in like sort of silver. It's like just depicts like the inclusivity. So for me, when we started this, I suppose, project off, for it to come to this stage where I think to come in and see everyone just working together as it is as one, I think that's something to celebrate. So that would be just my observation today. Okay. So today is about evaluation and your own personal evaluation. I think the conversation started in that way. So linking it to what you've done, I think if we just start to have a conversation around, because you've already said words like positivity, friends, sharing stories, that sort of thing. It's just thinking of what you've done as your celebration. How has the group impacted on you? Yeah? So if you could describe what benefit you get from the group, yeah, and its impact, is that okay? We're thinking about some of the words that people have started to use.
Do you want us to have a bit of time to think, or
Do
do
you
you
want
want
to-
just to come out with it?
It's up to you. Would you like to talk to someone next year just for a little bit, just to share, or do you think you could start straight away?
Would you think that that being together with, because one of the things I would say I've learned is, because I obviously learn from you guys so much, all of you, but is that it doesn't necessarily affect, well, it doesn't affect one person in the same way.
Yeah.
There's so many different ways.
Different.
That, and I think we talked about that, and we talked about how I think it's a challenging one, but how getting across those messages to people of that there's no one way that a stroke affects one person. And I think just talking to you all, and you've just highlighted it there actually, Mark, it's like, well, you know, that different reaction, and you know, you're talking about that guy that obviously it didn't affect him the way it affected you, the way it affected you, the way, and I think for me it's a continual learning, because every time we talk about something, I learn something new from you, and I think, and also the level, the different ways that it impacts. So on the emotional level, the physical level, the social level, you know, there's so much. So for me, being part of this group, it's as well as being hugely, and I know bandying around the word inspirational can be, I really mean it in the best possible way, but it's also hugely educational. And I think if that can be conveyed in some way further out, I think that would be amazing. You know, that would be amazing. But just that's what I get on many levels, on other levels, but on many levels, that's what I get. So I don't know if that resonates with anybody here or.
You get advice. You get advice in the sense that I learned some off him, he may learn some off me. I mean, you learn something of everybody you taught me. You know, that's what the idea is.
Is there any specific examples you can think of, Jim?
I was telling you before, like, I mean, I had 2 strokes, right? I had some strokes here. I had some fits, right? I thought it was epileptic fits, right? And then I went up there, the woman said, this is just 4 stroke fits. See, it's common among people who've had strokes, you know? And that was when later on, they taught the people and they tell me, oh, it's common. You know, the doctors tell them, but they never tell me. Well, so it's something you learn about, you know, and that makes you stop worrying a bit, you know.
So it's
19 now, I'm the tablets, you know.
So it's going back to the sharing those things.
I learn things, you learn from people, I'm telling people, yeah, well. And now if it happens, you know.
I think there are lots of post-stroke effects that you don't get told about and just happen to you and you think, why, you know, is this normal or have I got some other problem? And it's from speaking to other people you realise that, oh, it actually is a common problem because nobody tells you about it and you find, I guess nobody wants to warn you. They'd give you a long list, you could have any of these problems after stroke. I mean, that would be a bit depressing, but...
I don't think you can't see this is going to happen, because they don't know.
That's a different thing, it's different. It's different for everybody, isn't it? You know what I mean?
I think the stroke that you get when you go to hospital is very good because it can, I mean, I was...
When you got out, that was it.
Yeah.
I felt deep key for it.
I was sort of...
You obviously got matter with next week and all this. It was everything.
I didn't know that I was doing it, but I was swearing at the kids type thing, me grown-up kids. I didn't know that I was doing it. But when I read through the book, it says it's quite common. They can't do that. You know, it's just frustration, you can't get words out of things. And that was a really good guide, that book, yeah.
Good book,
Is that something that's consistent across all hospitals and all trusts? Is that, because I know that's something else that's come up in our sharing of experiences through the oral history work, through our just the work that we do together, is sometimes the inconsistencies. So is that booklet that obviously is something that really, really helped you? Is that something that's consistent?
You know, one of mine I've been to.
And we were in Sunderland.
I got one from Newcastle and one from
I got one from Sunderland and I got one from my latest job, I had one from the RVI. So it's 2 different trusts there, I suppose, type thing. Yeah.
Taking those things into account, I know you've already touched on it, but specifically around what you've said, Keith, what is this group helping you with for those things that you've mentioned?
I think confidence to know like I sit with those other people who have the same sort of thing.
Okay.
And can help you to avoid it in the future type thing. I've just had a little spat with the doctors here. This is my doctor's practice here. And I've just had a little bit spat with them type thing. I think on ton of paper. They decided I came in for to make an appointment at the desk. We can't make appointments for you. You've got a phone up. I don't let you on the phone. Somebody from the practice get in touch with you. Type thing, you know. You couldn't go to the desk anymore, type thing. So I felt sort of left out of the practice type thing, you know. So I wrote them a letter and said, I'm not very happy with what's going on type thing. I explained that I'm not very good phoning. I'm not very good going down here and waiting type thing. I'm not going to get treated by a doctor type thing. And I says I'm not very I think the doctors is bothering me because they won't not make it easy for me to have an appointment type thing. I said, when you get to a certain age, and you can't use the internet, especially with my kids that work in which I can't use a computer at all now. And the lady phones up and said, that's been practiced with one back to normal now, from no easy way from the parents. So a little bit of victory for people who can't communicate properly.
Yeah. Is that an example of your increased confidence, would you say?
Yes.
Is that what you were meaning there?
That's right. Yeah.
You know, that's fabulously explained.
Yeah.
That phone thing must be a common thing. I mean, I'm like that.
Yeah.
It's confusing to get on the phone.
I can't speak to anybody on the phone. I mean, they did have an internet chat, an internet thing. I can't use the internet now. So I've got to speak face to face. I don't know what to say type thing. What do I do? What to say to the receptionist?
You can't, you speak, you can't get listen.
Yeah, yeah, all the time with them.
When I have somebody phones me,
Yeah.
I've got, like, see, like from Sky, I speak to them with Sky.
Yeah.
And I've always got to, you can't, I must speak to yours before to get a password or something.
Yeah.
Give us a baby in there, and maybe give her the password, give her authority to
Yeah.
speak on my behalf, So I give her the phone, and I can't speak to people, they don't understand it.
That's right, yeah. Just the same then.
Can
So my rude people, man.
I move? Let people like you. It's alright, Liz, if I bring you in and Adam, just.
I think what Adam gets from the group is confidence, the fact that he knows he's among friends, and that they will give him the time when he's trying to explain something. They don't get exasperated with him, and he looks forward to coming here on a Thursday, don't you? Yeah. And I think it's just a fabulous group, actually. I think you'll have to go on to somebody else.
That's okay. Thank you. Does anyone else want to add anything?
I would.
Yeah, Terry, follow.
I would say that I get a great deal out of coming to this group. You know what it is? It's like a spiritual thing for me. It's like when I go to church, I feel the same way, I feel as though I'm surrounded by people that life's kind of broken a little bit, but they're in recovery. But it's just like everybody seems to care about each other, and you don't really get that a lot in this life. You can go into different kinds of groups of people, and you would never get this kind of a spirit. That's this atmosphere. And it's a lovely thing, really, I mean, it's a terrible thing what's happened to most of the people, but it's a privilege for me to come and enjoy what goes on in the meetings, It's really, really excellent. And I always get uplifted by coming, and I always like to hear what's been going on in people's lives, and I really think it's a wonderful thing. And long may it endure. That's my little piece.
Can I just say something? I think the benefit of the group has just been highlighted. The fact that there's so much honesty and trust within this group that people can sort of burst into tears without feeling anything other than being proud of the fact that and amongst people who can share stuff, and to have the confidence to confront the NHS and stand up for your rights as a person, to say that I'm not like everybody else. I've got individual needs. I don't like using the phone. I don't like using the computer. You guys are going to have to listen to me, or I don't mean to be horrible. You're going to lose me.
Yeah.
Okay? Because I'm frightened to do all those things, or I can't.
Well,
So you're going to have to knock on my door one day and come to me and say, "We haven't seen you for ages," and you can say legitimately that's your fault.
I was about to read the fact.
You got
Remote then.
no, but it could happen.
Yeah.
Because technology's taken over and people are becoming irrelevant. Like staff, it's like banks, everything. People are becoming irrelevant. And I think it's time it went the other way. And these groups give people confidence, including myself, to do things that I would never have dreamt of doing. Like, doing the music stuff. It's helped.
I would like to see somebody in this group here, get better, so they're not better as they were, can see a solid stand up. And that would be a great to start. Just to see somebody here. And do it.
You mean move up?
Dare you?
If I notice I feel good enough now that you're not coming anymore.
I think that's yeah. I can agree with that to a point, but I don't think that anybody would. I think that if it got to the point where they didn't need us,
I think if people come back.
I think if they got to the point where they felt that they didn't need to come to the group, as a group, we would be the ones who would need them for their positive experiences and things to keep coming and putting it in. Yeah. I can speak now. I think. What I get out of this group is the fact that I can come and I can split my tummy out at times and not be judged. I've had a couple of bad weeks. I mean, you all know that I'm a fairly positive person and my glass is always half full and it's always the top half is full, as I've said before. And I do get down every now and again, and I think I'm in a bit of a dip at the moment, but I know I'll bounce back. I know I always do, so I'm never depressed about that. But I think when I'm in a down phase, some things affect me more. And the fact that I can come to this group and sort of talk about it, I don't cry easily in front of people, but I don't feel embarrassed about what's happening today. And I've got the HLF group down as happy, laughter and fun and anything but that.
That's a positive thing. The fact that we can be down together, and then next week or the week after we'll be flying again.
But do you know what, I agree with Terry, I really agree with Terry, that, because I'll go in a minute as well actually when you go, but I think the fact that you can be really honest is just so special. It really is. And I'm talking with him every week. I mean, obviously this is the first time we've done this. But this is not normally what happens on it to this extent. It's like, oh my God. But no, it really, I think it just shows how much it means to every single person. I mean, obviously my dad, because he had a stroke, I know Pippa is being touched by that as well, and Terry, and it's like, so that you're there for many, you're here for many, many reasons, but I think there's just something, it's difficult to describe.
Yeah.
It really is. Because, and actually for me, one of the most joyful things has been seeing Adam come, like the personality, the confidence, the way you make us laugh every week. Just fabulous. I've never seen somebody be able to look so manly, handsome, and have a stuffed tiger. It's just brilliant. Just
through what, and moments like with the percussion instruments and you two together, just, which will all be captured. All they are things that stick in my mind and do make me really smile. And I just think it's full of total honesty, like Dennis said, and that's brilliant. And you know, you've just all got so many beautiful gifts. Honestly,
It's
just.
uplifting.
It is. It really is. But I think it's good. I think you're right that within the uplifting, that doesn't mean avoiding the difficult stuff. And I think the fact we can deal with the difficult stuff, I think is what shows how special it is. But that's down every single person in this room, literally every single person in this room, and the people who are not in this room that are in part of it, like Terry and John and Barry and so.
And I'll say one more thing. You know, I've seen Terry Soros where I really appreciate the fact that there's people like Terry, you know, yourself, you,
I go.
That's just because you do a lot. You know, if it wasn't for you, we'd not be able to.
If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be here.
That's right.
See, that's what it is, though. It's a group of people. That's all I'm ever saying. It's a group of nice people. So.
I'm sure I'm sure working.
That was quite an outpouring, I must admit. Does everyone want to have a little break, do you think?
We need sugar.
Very honest. I think it might be worth.
Sugar and tea, we're all right.
Right, first of all, that was really powerful feedback. So you know, the honesty, as you see in the room, was fantastic. So I think we captured some really excellent footage. We'll move on now, because obviously there's a massive. I don't know where I'm standing. Getting in the moment. No, we need to be as one, don't we?
Why is your hair allowance wet?
Again, James, we'll put that with the Cassie later discussion.
He's a cool dude.
Joe.
Anyway, moving
I
on
knew
to
there was
hair
a reason
products.
to come back.
He's missed the abuse, hasn't he? He's missed the abuse.
One other thing about the group is, I don't know if you agree, is that as well as sharing your stories, there's a huge element of creativity. And what I wanted to sort of capture from you is individually, is that important? Going back to the things you've said in the first part of the evaluation, just to focus a little bit on that. So, Kath obviously brings a lot of activities, as does Terry, Jeanette with the training that you've had on the filming. Pip obviously also brings activities as well. Yeah. So, I suppose does that make sense? I just wondered your thoughts on the creative element of the group and how that.
That gives you confidence.
Okay.
Well,
Also makes you clear. When you study, when you stand up, makes you stand up, you stand up from the people to that. You're not going to really. Oh, you know, it allows you to stand up and speak your mind, whatever. I say this with somebody. Not that I was ever shy, but.
So what you're saying is they want to lead it too much, but in speaking about the creative activities, they almost allow that sharing.
Help you to do things that you might never have done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you got? Do you mind asking a specific example again?
Well, you know when they're doing that, what do you call it? The Bob Dylan one.
Oh right, that's going back to that's a different project though.
I didn't want to
does that,
be. Honestly, I wouldn't be proud of that. But
well, I mean, no, it was with Abby. It was the same. It was the start. It led to this really in many ways, didn't it? The walking in our footsteps.
Right.
So that was the first. I suppose that was the first. That's what I'm talking about.
no, I didn't want to. It was me. What? I can't remember what I looked. But it really made, you know, I didn't want to do that. I didn't see, people see, disappointment or whatever. I didn't want to let people think, oh, I'm disappointed.
But being part of that, because so you didn't want to do it, but then
I didn't want to do it, I just didn't want to say, you know, like, dejected. I don't want to stand there and feel. That's the way you see how to be dejected.
they were words that came from the group, weren't they? About different feelings. But you were a part of.
I would have actually got kind of fantasy to get to
Well, you could have done. You could have done. You just didn't have enough cards. But no. So being part of that was probably the first creative group. That's that's still going. But now that's fed into you doing other creative things, Jim. So do you think that helps you?
Oh, it helped you, yeah.
Can you?
Yeah, I see it gives you confidence. It's a hard thing to get, guys. Okay, like you say you were saying that. I've been in a room before now where people said, well, that's how we enjoy. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. But I guess they all they've always found good. No matter which one I've been this one. Some of them have been the one in heaven. And the best part is the total. You learn more total people than you do. You know, the doctors can't tell you those. Nurses can't ever tell you nurses, I'm sorry.
So do you think when you did, like we've done the oral history work, the training with Terry, and the camera work, so what's that brought, do you think? So then anybody else can join in at this point as well, because that was a big part of what we did sort of last or before.
They give you hours. Yeah. Like, may never done anything like that before, but it's good to do it. Yeah, it's good to do something like that.
Yes.
You may never have done it, you may never get another chance.
Remind me on I don't know if I remember these things. Just asking as if you're almost because I'm lost yet.
Oh, we can help. We can help with things. No, that's fine. We've done a lot of stuff. So if you can't think of specific activities, don't worry about that.
Where was it?
We've done lots of.
The one at the hospital.
Oh, are you thinking the hospital? Are you thinking? Oh, do you mean Haven Court?
That's in Haven Court.
Yeah. So it has been a long project.
Right.
Yeah, we've done a lot of things. So yeah. So it's not. Really, don't worry about naming certain things. No, absolutely. And ask us if there's anything. Like you were saying, what do we do there? What do we do there? So just ask us. Yeah, totally.
Can I just say the link of being creative?
Yeah, go.
It helps people express their emotions on a canvas, for example, like this, what Suzanne's doing, a high five. So the creative it's almost like a little acorn at the beginning of communicating more and more. So when you start writing stuff down, you start to think more of what's going on. Then you write it down, you draw it, and then as a group we start discussing it, and that's a communication between each and every one of us here. So it starts from a very small acorn and it grows, and sometimes to a massive discussion, which might not have happened with that little spark or that little acorn of creativity. So the importance, I think, the link is very important that you have something creative, and then it just opens up. It's like an acorn grows into a massive big tree, I guess. Does it?
Yeah.
Trees
does, you're right. Yeah.
So this group now is like a big tree now.
Yeah.
Like your tree of whatever.
Yes, the tree flag.
Yes, it's just and the branches are getting bigger and bigger. And everybody now is able to speak up and you kind of shut them up sometimes. But that's good.
I'm quite interested. Sorry, Mark. So someone like Suzanne, could you? I think you've shared, and actually one of your strengths cards I remember was creativity. Yeah, and I think in creativity, curiosity. So yeah. So your creativity is a part of your life. You're creative.
Yeah, for me it's essential. I think in this group what the creativity does, I think it's kind of helps glue us together and make us one, because we're all from very different backgrounds, very different lives, and there may be things that we have in common and share, and they come out as part of the creativity. So I think it does really help us. It's helped us get to know each other and make connection.
And in terms of the the filmmaking, learning the story, how's that felt for everybody? You know, the filmmaking and the using the cameras and sharing stories. Was that daunting in any way, and then shifted and changed, or?
I was comfortable with doing that, either talking or interviewing. I was quite happy with that. What I am less happy and confident with is the creativity side of things. And I suppose I'm a bit like Adam in that respect. He knows what he wants to say and he can't get it out. And I know what I want to appear, but my hands don't do what my brain tells me. So I can appreciate, you know, the difficulty that some people have in wanting to do what they can't do, but knowing that what they want to do. I mean, I do try, and
you produce amazing.
Well,
but
all that,
yeah.
all that, but that, I can't see it. It's all that.
But you're getting better.
Yeah.
It's improved.
But it all, everything is going.
Yeah.
All the time, but I can't. That.
So you get frustrated.
Can I ask Adam, is any activity with the group helped your communication?
I don't know.
I think the group as a whole has.
Yeah.
Because he's with people who will talk to him, and the longer they've known him, the easier it is for them to get onto his wavelength and think what it is he's trying to say.
Because that is gone. I was
And you go, he would just sit and do what he was told, but now he gets wrong. Now he's like this.
So that's an example of taking, because that's another group, Adam, that you go to the garden.
Yeah.
That's almost taking, if I'm reading this right, taking the confidence from here and transferring it into another setting maybe. So you're more,
mind you, bronze that. But I was Ben, I was blonde.
When he was there, he was
Yeah.
He had a halo of blonde curls.
Yeah.
He's still got a halo now.
No,
Coming.
Of course, at the garden, I'm not there. I tend to, leave him there to get on with it, so I don't know whether that has any effect. Maybe it's actually leaving here.
Eh?
No.
If that I've got that is right next every all the time. Then what it's not.
Why don't you come on and lose it?
Yeah, sorry.
Right, do that, yeah. Big boss.
But me and my brothers, I'm quiet.
Yeah.
You're the
Honestly, I am.
Honestly, he
Yes.
is. He is for me.
Who are you trying to convince?
No, I'm listening to your mum, I believe your mum.
I am quiet. The brothers. Because that is.
You can be ten control.
Mind you, like that is granddad is he
Oh, he's hearing it.
Yeah, you can't do that.
If he didn't want to, he just.
Just check the hearing it.
That's gotta be a third.
because now is the roads are going
Yeah, what I'm saying is, when we're in a group like this, it's great, but if there's more than one conversation going, he can't latch onto.
Yeah.
He can only really concentrate one to one. And I think it's because of his hearing difficulties, he is definitely right here now. And so sometimes he'll just switch off.
sort of.
The floor is yours, Adam, if you wanted to say anything else. Or are you happy with that? Well, I've personally seen a huge change. Keith, is there anything about, because you drew a wonderful picture there of the nativity. I'm just thinking of other sort of other activities that I've done, the creative. Has that helped?
Well, we'll get this project where you've got to get a picture of yourself type thing, put words around it. That's what I'm going to try and do, you know. It took us 3 weeks to do 4 full albums for to find a picture of myself. I would never ever get a photograph taken. To come here and do the filming and all that sort of thing is totally alien to us. Yeah. I really am enjoying it. Yeah, it's really good, yeah.
And that's something you have in common with Adam, because I remember when I started, you were very much, I'm not being filmed, I'm not being photographed, and we've had you filmed, and you're comfortable with the cameras, you're sat with your tiger as part of your portrait, and I think with this group, what I'm kind of, I know Liz, you say you're not very creative drawing, but we have music activities, which I know you absolutely love. There are people who love filming, and that's a great part of things. The art appeals to Suzanne and so many and other people as well. So I think having so many different elements makes this group unique. So it has something for everyone to kind of tap into.
Yeah. I think the other thing is, well, for me, because it's quite a long project, because when we did do some filming and I was interviewed about my stroke, I think I wouldn't have been able to share that experience in that way if I just sort of met somebody once or twice. I think the fact that, you know, we're comfortable with each other, I could probably share more than I would have otherwise.
So all that work that we did at the start of that sort of through those different creative activities together, you think that was an important part of the project?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. But I mean, even I suppose going back to what you were saying there, like the latest project, one of the things I noticed about what Keith does, which is lovely, is that whatever you sort of go away and do stuff at home. So you'll take things like you've done. You wrote another poem, an additional poem to one that we've written, and you've added that, brought your own poem in, and then you drew a separate picture of your lovely cat, Tigger.
That's right, yeah.
As a picture, and then this project that we're doing about the self-portrait, which, linking up with what you said, Pippa, about different ways of wanting to do a self-portrait, for example, so around identity. So, Suzanne, you chose, I mean, yours is going to be, I mean, they all are, they're just, you know, it's just you've gone more down this sort of more traditional road in a way. But it's, and Adam, you've done the photograph in the middle and images and words around the outside. And then Keith, you've gone back home and worked on it at home and brought, so there's something different for everybody to work in a way to express themselves. But what is lovely is seeing, you know, with the objects, when you've been encouraged to bring objects in, Keith's been brilliant bringing objects in, and it's just, so it's, from my point of view, it's been lovely to see people and tell me, you know, invest that investment. I think that's sort of, do you think having those sort of activities has
has helped in that way? Like you've gone home, you've got
Oh,
and then
yes.
you brought it back,
Yeah.
and then it's helped you with stories
Yes.
and
I find myself a lot of time not knowing what to do now. Apart from chasing a couple of hours type thing.
is that a sport? Is that a-
Oh, I think it is, right?
He makes it one. I do. Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, if I wasn't here, if I wasn't coming here, I would have nothing to do with the Tuesday communication with on the Thursday. So that sort of helps us for the time in at home. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
I was to tell you about the channel, wasn't it? Like you good for us, but that's all I got. I Sky, and I just, you know, I go on them record ones, you know. I don't see the stuff I recorded much. What's the one about Tune Common? I like that, mate, I must admit, but Man versus Flood. Yeah, I was watching one yesterday, the 65 Stone Man. Right? He didn't do that, and he couldn't move, honestly.
So
When he did move, it was disgusting.
Sorry, Jim. So it gives you something stimulating.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's right, yeah.
So what's 65 stone, man?
Sorry, Mark.
65 Stone, hottest man.
Sorry.
Heaviest man in Britain.
Yeah.
Let's move that 65 stone man to the hair gel.
Conscious. Yeah. I'm conscious that Adam you
Adam was going to say
come
something.
in. So
Because that was the way now is I've got now after that.
Yeah, gives form to his work.
Yeah, I'll yeah, a week I'm out. Or if it wasn't that, I would have.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's right, yeah.
Yeah.
Very easily, very easily.
Yeah, so.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Mark,
So.
I know you haven't said much about the creativity. I mean, is that something that everyone's got creativity? Mark? Is that? Do you think that's part of helping you in this group, or?
Yeah, I still can't believe I'm still walking on the surf, really.
What's the name?
I'm still not there, I'm just standing up here, I'm still walking on the surf. That's it.
It is still 3:30, isn't it? Like we're finished.
Yes.
Stop happening.
Yeah. Is there anything else anyone wants to add about that aspect of the group?
Can I just say one thing about people talk about using the time. I think for me it's not just filling time, I think it's doing something worthwhile. As opposed to just doing it because it's filling time in. If it was just filling time in, I wouldn't be here. That's because I feel as if there's something worthwhile and that we're all getting something out of it. It might be that you're filling time in and you're not watching TV, but during the time here, that's quality time. Then when you leave here, well, when I leave here, I can't wait for next week.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, when it's on?
Yeah? So it's worthwhile, it's not just filling in time. But I know what you mean.
See, when it's not on, you do this not coming.
The what?
When it's not on, you do this not coming.
Uh-huh. Yeah?
So you have to throw it. And you like, so you have to throw it away. No, I haven't.
Yeah, it's okay.
I suppose, yeah, again, brilliant feedback. I think you've probably done this before, but I wonder if we just went round and said, if you're thinking about the project now, is there one word that comes to mind above everything else that you would say? Again, we started with celebration. I'm just wondering what word you would describe the group at this stage for you.
One word.
Pressure.
I've got a word.
Go on.
Organic.
Ooh.
It keeps growing. It's a bit like that
I was
tree.
going to say growing.
It's a grower. It's definitely growing.
nicked your word.
No, that's a
You
brilliant
nicked the
word.
word.
Organic, yeah?
Privileged.
Yeah.
Stimulating.
Alive. Alive. It's when you come here, you up yourself, you up your not just through, now we told people you uplift you, but when you come here, you uplift yourself as well. You know what I mean? Like this, first of all, I think, and yet, come here, you figure out the box. I mean,
Thanks, Jim.
Comfortable? Comfortable. Yes, yeah.
Adam, do you have a word at all that you would like to? You've said a lot. I know. Put me on the spot.
I've got one for him. Talkative.
I've got another one, sanguine. I do what I mean with sanguine.
You don't mean sangria?
Sanguine.
I don't know what it means.
That's just, yeah.
Relax. Turbo. Relax.
Relax, is that yours? Relax. Oh, is that what sanguine means? Well done, that's pretty you
Relax.
really. You knew that somewhere.
How are you happy, Mike?
I've got it,
I'm happy.
when you come through, I've got the one I sent you. I sent you a new word every day.
Word of the day.
Oh, you're wearing it there.
I didn't understand some of it.
Thanks.
It's like when we had darkness. How do you use it? How would you use it in a sentence?
Well, let's use those all. I feel sanguine when I'm in this room. There you go.
As I laid my
I felt sanguine.
Well, good.
We all knew Adam, who was of a sanguine character.
Adam, what was your word?
Yeah, what was your word?
We tell you talkative.
Gallic.
Gallic.
Oh,
that's
yes.
You took away
The
that
Gallic
one.
shrug.
Gallic shrug, yes.
Yes, yeah.
No, that's fine. Anyone that not had a go who wants?
Maybe family, because it does feel like we're kind of a family.
Yeah. I was going to say unity.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I would say genuine.
I've got a few.
I know.
That's
I
the
struggle
thing.
too.
Well, we said it before, I mean uplifting, but obviously it's quite a Christmas word, but joyful, because I always feel like I always leave with a big smile on my face, and I come with a big smile on my face, look forward to it. I'm with you, Jim, that when it's not on, I miss it. And I'm kind of, and hopeful as well, I'm not really explaining it very well, but with this as kind of a pilot model for it to be rolled out to other places and other projects, and well, that's what we're hoping. Hopeful. And if it could be half as good as what we have here for other people, how much someone can get out of it, would just be amazing. I know that's not one word, but I never use it.
I was going to say.
That's like 50 words.
Are you finished yet? I'm sure we did.
Oh, well, do you know what? I'm going to add another word now. Pippa's added about 25.
I'm sure we did.
It's like friendship. No, because
Yeah.
it has. Because I know as well, Pippa, because when we started the project, but I feel like you've just always, I don't know about everybody else, but you've just been part of it. I feel like you've been part of it from the start. I feel like you've always been.
Yeah, it's been.
It's just like you've always been here.
Yeah, I do feel very privileged to.
I say one more thing, sorry. I didn't hear you.
No problem.
You know, what it is that I know some of you a little bit, but I don't know you a lot. But what I really wish is that it's all about the best way is, you know what I mean?
Oh, thank you, Jim.
Yeah. I used to see that over your person, see Mark, see Madam, see this. And I just really wish that people.
Have you been drinking?
I wish.
Sounds good, yeah.
Oh, that'd be great.
First time it's been nice to me, look. Let's go on here.
Well, I
How
think
much do you feel like?
we're sort of ending on a,
What word would you use,
I
Andy?
would, well, I think probably unique.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For what everything's said today, I think it's definitely unique. But thank you for all your honesty, what's the other words? Creativity. Yes. Emotions.
Yeah.
It's been
Well,
very
yeah.
real, but
It's been emotional.
we hopefully just check that everyone feels safe
Yeah.
after today, because it's been a session where there's been lots sort of shared, but just just keep yourself safe when you go, and hopefully you'll go away being uplifted was one of the words.
I should have said awesome as well. It is an awesome group. I do think